In this video, I'm going to share a love story with you. Not a two-sided love story. Somebody was in love and somebody had an ulterior motive. It's a story of betrayal, and it's so shocking that I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't end up like a Lifetime movie or something at some point. What's up, guys? It's Greeny. In 2015, there was a Chinese national. Her name was Wang. She moved from China to Thailand, Bangkok in particular. She wanted to open a business. She was very motivated to start a business in Thailand and kind of work with people in China, distributing, manufacturing, all that type of stuff. What she ended up doing was opening a mango business where they, processed mangoes, dried them out or dehydrate them, whatever they did, and shipped them to China. She got a plant for that. She opened a Chinese restaurant. She opened a homestay. All of this in Bangkok. I believe that her mango business was in Rayong. Her business is thriving. It's taken off. She started in 2015. In 2017, she meets the man of her dreams. We're going to call him Yu. Yu is his first name. He lives in Bangkok, but he is also a Chinese national like her. And they hit it off. And this guy swept her off of her feet. He was whining and dining her, taking her everywhere she wanted to go, paying for everything. There was actually one night where she got up in the morning and opened her door and he was outside of her apartment. And she's like, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I slept here because I missed you and just wanted to see you in the morning when you came out." A little creepy if you ask me, but whatever. Their relationship progressed, and after a long courting of 2 months, they decided to get married. So 2 months into this relationship, they get married, and literally the second they're married, his behavior starts to change. He starts paying less and less attention to her. He's not working, and he's always hanging around her businesses and not doing a thing, not raising a finger, just always playing around on his phone, playing video games, etc., etc. You know the type of guy. It actually got to the point one time where she got injured at work and her employees were dealing with her injury, and he was there and paid absolutely no attention to what happened. Didn't even give a crap. She was starting to get a little fed up with this guy. Things were getting a little testy. Well, one night, Yu comes home and tells Wang that he needs 1 million yuan, which is the Chinese currency. It's about 150,000 US dollars back then. He told her that he had met a guy, a not so nice guy, that took him to gamble, and he lost all this money and these guys were gonna kill him if he didn't pay. She obviously still had feelings for him and felt kind of bad for him, so she decided to cut a deal with him. She told him she'll give him half the money up front, 500,000, and if he turns his shit around and starts working at the business, helping out, she will pay the rest. So sure as shit, he started working. He's in the shop, he's at the restaurant, he's at the homestay, and he's helping out. He's carrying his weight. Sometime during this period of time, though, she had found out that he came from a poor family. He had told her before that he was from a wealthy family. Well, somehow in the mix, she found out that his parents did not have any money. They were not wealthy. Another strike against you. Anyways, the relationship kept going, and things were starting to get a little bit better, but then one day, Yu just disappears. She has no idea what happened to him. She's out looking for him. His phone's dead. She can't get a hold of him. She's, bouncing around, asking everybody that knows him, where is he? Where is he? She can't find him. She gets a call from her accountant. And mind you, at this point in time, her business is doing very well. She's worth several $1 million US. So she's doing very well. Her accountant calls and says that 5 million yuan are missing out of her bank account. It was transferred to somebody. And she's like, what the hell? She went, started looking through paperwork. Her ID is missing. He's gone, obviously, with his ID, and their marriage certificate is missing. So she goes down to the bank and finds out that Yu went there and was able to somehow maneuver the bank into releasing funds or transferring funds for him. She's pissed now. At this point, she has had enough. She is pissed off. So she takes off to the police station and makes a police report. Yu gets picked up by the police. He gets arrested. He's in jail. Yeah, the 5 million yuan, which was about 750,000 US dollars, gone. He spent it all on gambling. You would think, okay, well, obviously that's the end of the relationship, right? He begged and begged and begged her to stay. She's contemplating, you know, what am I going to do about this relationship? She's at the verge of leaving him. Well, guess what? This is going to be a shocker. She finds out she's pregnant. She's pregnant. So now what's she going to do? She's pondering the situation, decides she doesn't want to be a single mother. She doesn't want to go into this by herself. So she's going to give you one more chance. To make matters worse during this time, you came out and admitted to Wang that he was actually a convicted criminal and he had spent 8 years in prison for a robbery. God only knows what's going through her head, but he must have had her bewildered somehow because she decided to give it another shot and try to have this baby with him and be a family. Well, on June 9th, 2019, Yu comes up with a brilliant idea. He wants to take her to a Thai national park, Pha Taem National Park in Ubon Ratchathani. My Thai, little rusty. I've been in America for a few weeks. Anyways, this park is home to wondrous rock formations, just a beautiful place. One thing that was a little confusing to her is that Yu is afraid of heights. So she's like, well, why does he want to take me here? She just thought it was kind of weird. Anyways, they're bouncing around exploring the park. Well, a few hours later, a tourist in the park looked over a ravine and observed a body laying down in the brush on the bottom of a ravine about 35 meters down, and notified the park rangers, paramedics, rescue, whoever. Everybody arrives at the scene and finds Wang down at the bottom of this ravine, severely injured. And they couldn't understand what she was saying because she doesn't speak Thai. She could not speak Thai yet. She was still speaking Chinese. So they didn't know what happened to her. She was alone down there at the bottom of the ravine. And they, you know, boxed her up or wrapped her up or put her on the gurney, whatever they did, and took her to a local hospital. Right after the ambulance gets to the hospital, guess who shows up at the hospital? It's Yu. So Yu was able to advise the hospital staff that they had got separated at the park, and you know, Wang must have had a terrible accident. She's in the hospital, she's on all kinds of machines, and not a ventilator, but you know, was hooked up to some different things. Yu did not leave her side. I mean, he was that caring, loving husband. He was with her 24/7, just would not leave her side. In fact, at one point, I think it was at day 2 of her hospital stay, he actually told the hospital staff that he was going to take care of her. He unhooked all of her stuff and tried to roll her out of the hospital. Well, they stopped him and didn't let this happen. And he said, I'll sign the papers. I'll take responsibility for everything. They're like, no. She's not going anywhere. At day 5, finally, the hospital had enough of you hanging around. And they said, you cannot, you know, she's been here long enough. You cannot be here all the time. You got to go. You can come during visiting hours and that's it. You know, you can't be here all the time. You may be asking yourself, Greeny, why do you tell stories like this sometimes? If you're new to the channel, you don't know my background. I was in law enforcement for 30 years, and during part of my career, I was a detective investigator. I investigated identity theft, fraud. That was kind of my forte for a 4-year period, was fraud. I'm kind of intrigued by these type of stories, and I've always been drawn to this, and I do have some experience, you know, in my past. If you're interested in hearing these type of stories and you want me to continue, I'll know it if you give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. The last video I did like this, I got a lot of new subscribers, so that tells me, you know, people are interested in these type of stories. It's sad, but you know, these are very intriguing stories. There was a doctor that Wang was able to communicate with, and she told him he pushed me off the cliff. And this is how her story goes. On that day, they were on top of like a hill, and there was a beautiful viewpoint. And you said, come on over here, I want to show you this beautiful viewpoint. And apparently there was a cave down on the bottom, and she goes over and she's looking down there, and he grabs her and pulls her into him, gives her a kiss on the cheek and says, go to hell, and pushes her off the cliff. And 35 meters she falls down. Luckily there were some branches and shrubs and brush that she hit to kind of break her fall. She ended up having 17 fractures. She ended up getting 200 stitches and having like 100 nails or screws inserted into her body. So she was hurt pretty bad. She also advised the doctor that during that period of time when Yu was staying with her, he told her, if you tell anybody, I'm gonna kill you. And obviously he had already tried to kill her once, so she believed that he was serious and was gonna kill her. Another thing she did during that period of time was had one of her friends come to the hospital and brought a recording device. And she was able to record her and Yu conversing in Chinese about what had happened, and he admitted what he had done. And she saved that. She saved that for evidence. The police were alerted. Yu was arrested. Unfortunately, Wang lost the baby. She was just over 3 months pregnant with the baby, and obviously after this, she lost the baby. She went through years and years and years of rehab. And jumping forward just a little bit, I'm going to jump back and forth a little bit right now to finish out the story, but jumping forward a little bit, just recently, this past April 2023, she started to be able to walk on her own. So this is what, 4 years later, with PT and surgeries, she finally was able to walk on her own. Like I said, bad news is she lost the baby. But what ended up happening to you? You may think, well, this happened in Thailand. They're going to give him the death penalty. No, that's what Wang wanted. He didn't get the death penalty. He got life in prison. However, he appealed this, and the appeal changed the ruling to 10 years in prison. So right now, as it stands today, he's facing 10 years in prison. He's in prison right now. Wang is appealing this on her own. You know, it's not the state appealing. She's appealing his conviction, and she wants him to get the death penalty or spend the rest of his life in prison. So this appeal is ongoing. There's still one last kicker to the story. They were married in China, and the Chinese government will not let Wang divorce Yu until his court proceedings in Thailand are just finalized, until they know, all right, he spent his life in prison, 10 years in prison, all the civil actions over with. Until all the court cases are resolved in Thailand, the Chinese government will not let her divorce him. So she's still married to him after all that. Unbelievable, you know. So just want to share the story with you, and you can see, you know, these things kind of go both ways, you know. People from every country, men or women, anybody can be scammed, taken advantage of. I think the common occurrence in these stories is, you know, you get one person that's doing well, that's wealthy, another person that has not had this wealth during their life and is greedy and wants to take it and will do anything for it. So it can happen in any walk of life. Man, woman, doesn't matter the nationality. These were Chinese nationals, but obviously the story happened in Thailand. Anyways, if you liked the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Greeny out.